Good morning, everyone. It's the brand new week, the final week of January, but a super exciting one because finally we have the biggest first batch of major new releases of 2024, all starting today with a double new release day. But that's not all, because I've got the Phil's Day Off segment plus game news that ain't so good. Pretty heavy stuff when it comes to Activision Blizzard and this insane round of layoffs, plus Pal World continues its world domination of the gaming scene. All this and more on today's episode of the Level 1 Podcast. Alrighty, everyone. So, indeed, we are starting a brand new week this morning. Today is Friday, the 26th of January, 2024, and as I've already stated, it is the first major new release day of the year, although there have been some new releases here and there that have been very interesting. These are the two big AAA games that everyone has been waiting for to kick off this year, right? Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, an incredibly lengthy, fan service style JRPG on the one side, and then you got Tekken 8, an action-oriented, hard-knuckle brawling game on the other side. Totally different kinds of games, two different genres, but games that have both been very well received and reviewed in the gaming community. So I'm very excited to jump into both of them for you today. It's actually going to be Like a Dragon here on this first stream following this podcast. 3+ hours, jumping into the intro narrative and getting into the main gameplay of the game. Keep in mind that once I get further into this game, I think it's called Dodokon Island or something like that. Dodokon, I'm not sure. This is the virtual island minigame, a resort community that you build in the world of Like a Dragon Infinite. And once I've gotten that set up and I understand how it works, I'm then going to be doing that with my wife. That's actually going to be our first piece of gameplay that we do together here, really ever, on the channel, which is pretty wild to think. I mean, we've been married almost 5 years, and now we're finally going to be doing some gameplay together here on the channel. So I'm excited for that. Of course, later tonight on the late stream Friday Night Fights, the very first ever online session of Tekken 8. I'm very excited for that. I'm sure I'll be starting with Paul Phoenix and then probably trying King, but the question really is, how do I do moves? I'll explain in a minute because I've prepared for tonight, but I don't necessarily know exactly what to do, and I'll explain in a second. Anyway, wow, what a very interesting few days it's been, right? Seriously, like there's so much going on right now in the realm of my YouTube channels and the like, gaming news in general. The gaming landscape is changing. There's some crazy stuff happening, and we got a lot to talk about on today's show. So I guess what we should do is we should start at the beginning, as we always tend to do. Let's talk about Wednesday's streams quickly, and then I'll tell you about my day off, because I'm sure you're interested to hear what I did yesterday. It was a very interesting day, because Tekken 8 actually released yesterday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and my wife played it a lot, and it was super fun. We had a ton of fun together yesterday with Tekken 8, so I want to tell you all about that. So I'm excited. Let's do it. So on Wednesday, there were two big streams. First of all, on the Level 1 podcast, I announced a solution to the issues that we are having with these falsified, not really falsified, but I guess you could say illegitimate gifted memberships that have been hitting all over all of my YouTube channels. The major problem was on my React channel, I have a show that's reliant on memberships. Those memberships allow people to nominate clips for me to watch for this weekly clip show that I call DSP versus the Internet. Well, all of a sudden, if we have 400 new members that didn't pay for them, that's not fair to the 100 members that do pay for that access. So I needed to figure something out quickly, and I did by making a new tier of membership on the channel called Submissions Tier. This allows people to do a prorated upgrade, meaning if they already have an existing membership, just for like a couple dollars more, they can now get that access back. And essentially all the gifted memberships, all they get is emotes, and that's it, which is fine. I don't mind having everyone have emotes on the channel, and it doesn't kill the show. So I announced that big change, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys. In 2 days, 10 people upgraded. I checked this morning, and as of this morning, 6 Ultra members have posted up their clips. Now, that's fine, because typically we have between 5 to 10 Ultra members at any time on that channel. And remember, Ultra members, they're guaranteed to have their clips watched on the show. If 6 already posted, that's great. Usually a lot of them post last minute. So I guarantee we're probably going to have between like 5 to 10 clips to watch there. But as for people who used to be standard members and have upgraded, like I said, only 10 people posted. And each person posted, 2 clips? So potentially right now, we got about 26 clips to go through on the React show. Honestly, that's way less than usual. On a typical React show, I would say we have between 40 to 50 clips. So we're about halfway there. Yes, it's a concern, because obviously I want the show to still be good. I don't know if some people just still haven't checked the channel and aren't aware yet, because I actually have been checking and a few people auto-renewed. And I'm like, well, that's great. The auto-renew is great, but if you're auto-renewing at the standard level, you can't nominate clips. Maybe some people just want to support the channel and don't really mind about the clips. It could be that. But I just want to make you all aware that you absolutely, if you want to have clips submitted for Sunday's show coming up, you need to upgrade to the submissions tier. This is not my choice. This is not something I wanted to do. I had zero intentions of changing how the DSP Reacts channel worked. This is all on YouTube having a stupid exploit available, and on the scumbags out there who are using it to basically try to hurt the business. So please upgrade. It should only be a couple of bucks. Prorated, if you just renewed, it should be, not very expensive. And I apologize that we had to do it that way. I had to create a tier that was not giftable. That way the show could continue and not be ruined by these gifted memberships. So, I announced that Wednesday morning. Hopefully, all of you have been listening and will pay attention, and hopefully some people will, oh crap, I needed to do that, so that you can submit more clips, right? Then the first stream was Baldur's Gate 3, and once again, Baldur's Gate 3 was a fun stream, but a mixed bag in some ways. We arrived at Moonrise Tower. When you get to Moonrise Tower, there's a ton of new questing and stuff to do there. Everyone hit level 7, so it took a chunk of the stream to level everyone up and give them, better abilities and things like that. Level 4 spells, which look really crazy good. But primarily, the major chunk was the final hour of the stream, which was a jailbreak. You go to the jail or the dungeon, and you find all of those gnomes who had been captured. If you remember when we were back at the Underdark, the gnomes there had mentioned that their friends had been captured and brought to Moonrise Tower. So we're in the process of trying to breaking them out, and basically the AI of the game just goes haywire. Like, I free the gnome, and then the gnome engages in combat with the guards. Okay, fine, let me save the gnome. So I do, and there's a way out already opened. We've opened a back way to a boat so they could just sail away. And the gnome instead, the AI-controlled gnome, runs into the castle and just starts fighting everyone and dies. It's like, I can't make him not do that. That's terrible programming. Why'd they make the gnome suicidal? It doesn't make any sense. To make matters even worse, I had to try to rush to split my party to have people try to defend the guy. And as I'm in the middle of turns trying to fight and attack and defend the guy, the game is forcefully making me go back to another room to play with other characters who I don't even care about and shouldn't be engaged in combat because they're several rooms over. Like, it doesn't even make sense. How are they engaged in combat? They're nowhere near any battle. There's definitely a problem with that game. And it really frustrates me that so many people are just, like, ultra defensive of it. Listen, the game's good, all right? But the game has problems. It's not perfect. Doesn't matter how many people said, oh, it's game of the year. It's not a perfect game. We've exposed some of the flaws of this game and its gameplay engine in my 60-plus hour playthrough already, and I'm sure we're going to come across more the further in we get. No, the AI should not be suicidal and trying to commit suicide by running towards the guards when it's supposed to be a jailbreak and it's trying to escape, and the escape route's open. There's literally no justification for that. The game's programmed wrong, okay? It's all right. It's a flaw in the game. They might even repair it in the future, right? Why would you defend that? There's no reason to. Okay? Stop. Because so many people are just ultra fanboys that they're just say, oh, no, it's not fine. Because the second time that I redid the jailbreak, the gnomes went the right way and had no problem. I didn't do that. The game did. I don't control the NPC characters. Okay? And then if you really want to talk about the combat engine jumping back and forth and the camera screwing up and everything, I mean, I'm not even going to get into it here. It's just a mess. That whole final video of Baldur's Gate 3 that I made makes the whole game look terrible. It's like, what the fuck did they do here? They fucked it all up. But the thing is, I played 60 hours, and that hasn't been all the time. You know, every once in a while you get that situation. So, is it forgivable? It is forgivable. For me, it's annoying because, you know, this is a game where every fight takes forever. And so, the last thing you want to do is have to redo lengthy fights when you took your time to do it right the first time, and you won the fight, and then the game fucks up, and now you got to do it over again, you know? That's very, very, frustrating, okay? The deal is, though, I still like the game, and that's why I played 60 hours of it, first of all. I mean, I wouldn't be playing it for 60 hours if I didn't like it. I'm excited to get back to it, and you might say, well, when are you going to play it again? Well, we're in 2 new releases today, and these releases are going to be priority all week. I'm going to try to play a night stream of Baldur's Gate 3 coming up later this week, maybe either Tuesday or Wednesday night, and then probably one of those nights I'm also going to do Pal World. So, yeah, we're going to go from, like, 9-hour weeks of Baldur's Gate to like a 2-hour session this week, but that's okay. The week after, we'll probably start to adjust again. We got to see how everything really falls in line in the schedule, how many people like what games, and then figure the schedule out. The good news is, outside of that Foam Stars game, that's the new game on PS Plus in about a week, and that game is similar like Splatoon. Outside of that, there's really nothing going on major in gaming all month long in February until we hit Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at the end of the month. So we have all month to focus on Tekken, Like a Dragon, some Baldur's Gate 3, some Pal World, and, you know, if we want to squeeze in anything else, like I said, like Foam Stars. Okay, so we're good. We don't have to worry about that. So I'm thinking we will likely have more time to play Baldur's Gate 3 coming up, okay? So anyway. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me very much. All right, so that was my major stream, and then the minor stream or late night stream that I did on Wednesday was Sea of Stars. And let me tell you, I had a blast. Sea of Stars is a super duper good game. I honestly wish that it had come out at a different time, because the time it came out, I was already in the middle of playing Chrono Trigger. So obviously I needed to finish Chrono Trigger, and by the time I finished, then all these new releases were coming out, so I didn't get to play Sea of Stars last year. Then I played it over the month of January, and we're a good like 16 plus hours into it, and it's a great game, but it's basically a 30 to 40 hour game, and we're out of time now. You know, we got to this new area, this new island. It's this undersea kingdom. You could breathe underwater. We're talking to like these like mer people or whatever. Really cool. And it's a great plot line, and everything's getting more interesting in the game. The combat's gotten better. We have better co-op attacks and stuff. And I'm like, oh, it's really picking up. I'm enjoying this game now, and now we're out of time. So Sea of Stars does have to go on hiatus now. There's no way that I could play it along with everything else this month. I promise to all of you who've been enjoying the Sea of Stars playthrough, even though there's not that many, I know it's probably around 300 people total who are really watching that playthrough, I'm absolutely, positively going to get back to it. All right, I am going to be playing it regularly once things calm down in gaming this year. However, it might be the spring. Shit, it might be the summer. But I want to have it so that I can play Sea of Stars consistently and keep it in the schedule. So next time we play it, within, say, a month, we can beat it. Instead of it having to be like 2 hours a week. Like, what's the point of playing a game 2 hours a week and not being able to play it more than that? You're never going to make any progress, and everyone's going to be disappointed, right? So rather than that, I want to hold off till we have a real good opportunity to focus on it. Fair enough? Okay. My day off yesterday. Nothing really notable to talk about in the realm of me running any errands or anything like that. It was a typical day. Being that we knew that Tekken 8 was coming out at 3 p.m., we purposely made it a stay-home day, meaning outside of me running errands, we weren't going out to do anything major. So I did. I ran around doing, grocery shopping and pet supplies and the like. And I came home as early as I could, and we got ready, and boom, we jumped into Tekken 8. And Tekken 8 actually has more features than the demo really let on. So it has story mode, which is the big narrative mode that Tekken always has. We're not sure how long it is, but we're assuming it's probably like 4 or 5 hours. It usually is in Tekken. it actually has this mode that's character specific. What it basically is a series of 5 narrative-based battles. And it's the story of the character in Tekken 8, which is unique. It means every character, and the 32 characters, they all have unique stories. Now, I'm sure they can't be very long. I'm actually wondering, gee, can you beat each one within like a half an hour or something? I would almost guarantee that's the case, right? If it's only 5 fights and probably a little bit of cutscenes and narrative between them, they're probably not very lengthy. But that's cool that each character has its own individual storyline to play through to see what they're doing in the game. Then, of course, there's the new arcade mode. And this mode is simulating the days of arcades where you create a virtual you, a virtual like avatar of you, and you meet up with a bunch of arcade goers. And then basically what you do is play against opponents in the arcade who are all using various different characters. And you can learn with one character. You could swap characters on the fly. You have different challenges. Like the game teaches you tutorial stuff about the game during these arcade stages, which is really neat. It's a really good mode. All right, so basically, Kat and I spent several hours in arcade mode yesterday. And because the game is finally the full release, not the demo, she was able to try out several different characters in Tekken 8 to figure out which one was more her style. So first she started playing with Shaheen. The reason she picked Shaheen is because she says it reminded her of like Basim in the recent Assassin's Creed Mirage game. And she liked his style. She actually learned 1 or 2 pretty big combos, actually. He has an easy launcher that turns into like a 6-7 hit combo that does pretty darn good damage. And she was basically learning like the basics of the game. And after basically beating the intro arcade, which is called Gong, you go to a second arcade. I think it's called like Phoenix. And it's supposed to be like a Paul Phoenix arcade, but it's more like a barcade. So when we got to that one, she's like, well, I want to change characters to try different stuff. So she went to Yoshimitsu, right? Now, Yoshimitsu is one of the biggest oddball characters in all of Tekken. I would be even hard-pressed to describe his fighting style because he's so weird. And it looks like in Tekken 8, at least, see, I don't know, because in Tekken 7, I didn't really heavily play that much. But it looks like he plays very differently than he used to in the old Tekkens. Like, he still has a lot of his old Tekken moves, but it looks like a lot of his techniques and things have changed. He has big sweeping sword arcs and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So she used him for most of the Paul Phoenix arcade. And then we went to the third arcade. I even forget what the name of it was. This one is like a bunch of candy and cakes. It's very weird looking, okay? I've never been to an arcade where everything looks like a giant pink confection. Very bizarre. So when she got there, she's like, well, I want to try another character. And I was like, all right, well, I'm curious who she'll pick. And she said, oh, what about this character, Victor? And I'm like, I know absolutely nothing about him because he's one of the new characters in Tekken 8. He's actually supposed to be from France. And I guess he's supposed to be an assassin because he has these 2 kukri daggers he fights with. But he also has handguns and a giant laser sword, right? So I'm like, I don't know how he's going to fight. So bottom line, she picked him and then she just used him for the rest of the day. She really liked Victor's fighting style. He basically has a bunch of quick up-close strikes and kind of high-low mix-ups, but also he has a good launcher, and if he catches you with that launcher, he could do giant juggle combos that push you all the way to the corner. A lot of his moves also seem to push you back. Like he has like these sword buffing or sword butt combo that kind of like pushes the enemy back, which is good, especially if there's someone in your face. It's a good way to get them off you. So yeah, so she used Victor for the rest of the session, and she played Victor in the third arcade. Then she played Victor in the entire fourth arcade, and we got up to the 5th arcade all on day 1. So we played that many hours. She liked it that much. She was really loving the game. And then when we got to the 5th arcade, basically what happened, get this. She goes, ow, ow. I said, what's wrong? She goes, my thumb. My thumb hurts. I said, your thumb? Let me see. She got the classic 100% stereotypical sore thumbs by playing an action-based video game too much in one session. And she never done that before. Not once. Because she never played a game like this before. It was her first real fighting game that she ever played. And so she played for many hours and her thumb is swollen. I was like, oh no, you got to take a break. We can't play anymore. Like, you can't keep playing with your thumb like that. It's going to kill you. But she was doing good. I was impressed because, Kat has zero prerequisite knowledge of fighting games. She's literally the textbook definition of a newbie, right? And she went into it just trying to learn basics. And within like an hour, she realized, okay, if I'm attacking with strikes and the computer blocks a lot, immediately try to do a throw mix-up instead. So she's learning to, stop that. You're defending. I'm going to grab you instead. And then if the enemy's coming at her, she's like, I'm going to try the launcher. Because if the launcher interrupts what they're doing, I can do a giant combo. So she's learning fighting game fundamentals, playing Tekken 8's arcade mode. And I was impressed because she picked it up fast. Now, is she doing super advanced moves? No. Is she doing crazy combos? No. But she's doing pretty good basics, and I was like, wow. for a very good first session, I mean, that was 100% a great one. So basically, we got through all of that, all right? And then she's like, we got to take a break. She's like, well, wait, there's another mode. It's like, all right, what is it? Tekken Ball. So it's the return of Tekken Ball, which is the volleyball game where you don't really hit your opponent. You hit a ball, and the ball either hits your opponent for damage or it's supposed to get past the opponent and hit the ground, just like real volleyball. If the ball hits the ground, then they score a point on you. So she basically played one match of that, and she's like, that's kind of silly. I was like, I agree. That's what it is. It's a party game. You mess around with your friends or against the computer, just silly thing. It's not meant to be taken seriously. No one takes that seriously. So we had a blast, like no exaggeration. We were super amounts of fun, tons of great day one vibes for a new fighting game. And man, let me tell you, Tekken 8 is gorgeous. And she plays it on the Series S. I'm going to be playing it on the PS5. But even on the Series S, the game had 0 frame drops. 0. I couldn't believe it. I thought on the Series S maybe it would chop up a little bit. That game runs ultra smooth on the Series S. And the stages are neat. There's one stage where you're in like a haunted graveyard with like yokai demons, and then all of a sudden the ground will break and you go further down into like the nether realm. And then there's a stage where you're on a big barge floating on a river beside the Eiffel Tower in France, and the barge rotates so you get to see all this cool stuff while you're fighting. The music is outstanding, just like always in Tekken. The music is very good. It's catchy. There's several different styles of songs in the game that are very exciting. And geez, man, 32 characters at launch is outstanding. Although I will admit, some omissions are a little bit weird. Like, for example, no Lei Wulong, which is a little weird. No Marduk. And Marduk's been in Tekken since, like, Tekken 4. And I was like, wow, no Marduk in this one? That's a little weird. There was a few, like, omissions that I was, like, scratching my head. I wonder why this particular character, you know, isn't in the game. Of course, they could always add those characters in later as DLC. But it was fun. It was like, you know, watching her play and seeing all these stages, and it was a very exciting stream. And for the record, she only lost a few times. I think when she was playing, she lost to the stupid Elisa. You know, Elisa the robot that's an anime girl with fucking chainsaw arms who shouldn't be in Tekken, and I still say to this day, it's bullshit, she shouldn't be in Tekken. Yeah, she's still in the game, she's still ridiculous. And she's like, I don't get it, like, how am I supposed to beat this character? As soon as she gets the chainsaw arm, she just keeps attacking, and it seems like you can't interrupt it. I said, welcome to Tekken. Like, since the moment she was introduced in, what was it, Tekken 6? That's her problem. She's an annoying fucking character who could keep on the offense. You basically have to, like, get in her face and stuff her attempts to use the chainsaws because they stop everything else, right? So, anyway, it was a great day. We had a great day together. Tekken 8 looks great. Like, really looks great, and I cannot wait to play it later tonight for Friday Night Fights. So you might say, well, what's going to happen tonight with Friday Night Fights? Well, basically what I did last night, after Kat had played a lot of the day, I basically looked up some videos of Paul Phoenix and King, and looks pretty good. Like, Paul, basically, here's the deal with Paul in Tekken 8. He is not a character that's fishing for one hit, and if he gets the hit, he gets a giant juggle combo. He's not a character who's looking to hit you in like a mix-up hit stun or lockdown style. He is a character who basically plays a basic game, very basic, not too advanced, but if he can land one good counter hit, like one launcher, which is down forward 2, which is right punch, if that hits, he could do giant combos out of that push you to the corner, and once you're in the corner, he's got you stuck. Like, it's so hard to get out of the corner in this game, especially against a character like Paul. And remember, the new thing in this game is called Heat. And essentially with Paul, once his Heat is activated, he's doing insane damage. So if he hits you with any move, you're pretty boned. And I guess that's the key here, is to try to do a couple quick heat activators. There's certain moves you can do that if you do the input with Paul, for example, it's hold forward and right kick, or I guess in this case that would be 4. If that connects, he activates his heat mode automatically. And then he can dash forward, and now he has a mix-up opportunity. He can throw, he can hit you low, he can wait a second and wait for you to try to counterattack, and then try to launch you and do a combo. Like, he has options after it. So he seems interesting in this game. Basic, but very effective and very high damage, okay? King. Holy crap. They changed King to seemingly make him really good. Number one, they improved throws in this game. They made throws harder to reverse, which is good, because if you remember when I played Tekken 7, almost every person reversed every throw I tried. And I was like, wow, like, throws are ineffective in this one. So apparently, they made throws harder to react to now. And I guess from what I'm to understand with King, they made his strikes so good now that he can just do a couple strikes and immediately do a throw mix-up. So he has 2 or 3 throws he can do fast out of, like, a couple strikes, and the enemy has to react right away, and a lot of the times the throws look identical, so you'd have to guess, do I have to press left punch, right punch, or both punches together to reverse? And a lot of times you can't tell, so you can catch the enemy. He also has a new move, 2 new moves. One is called, like, Jaguar Dash, and what it is he just runs forward, and out of that he can either do a counter hit strike that knocks you down, or he can do a running, flying RKO throw that is not reversible. So if he runs and does it, you can't get out of it. And that's the only throw in the game that apparently is not reversible at all. So if everyone's saying this is like one of his best new strategies. And then on top of that, he has a new move where he gets super armor. He just goes roar like this, like a big chest pump. And when he does this, he gains 2 hits of super armor. And now out of that, he can do anything he wants. If someone's doing a rage move against you, you can just do super armor right through it and then counter hit them. It's like, whoa. So that's totally different. And I noticed this when Kat was playing yesterday. Every time she fought King, the computer was doing the super armor move. I was like, he didn't have that before. So what the hell is that? So this dramatically changes the way the characters play. So tonight I'm excited. Here's the problem, though. So I watched these 2 videos of Paul and King to learn the basics of the characters. And I learned a lot, but I'm like, my problem is I don't know how to do these new moves. Like, how do you do Jaguar Dash? How do you do this super armor move? And it didn't tell you in those videos. So I'm like, when I play today, I might have to, like, just go into training mode quick and go to the moves list and try to find those moves in the moves list just to figure out the inputs for them. Because, like, I know what to do, I just don't know how to do it button input wise. You know? Also, what I want to learn, because I know how to do the giant swing with King. It's one of my favorite throws. But I want to mix that up with a different one. They said the best mix-up is, like, giant swing and pile driver, because they need different buttons to reverse them. So if I can mix up between those 2 throws, I could confuse opponents. But I got to figure out what's the input for pile driver, because pile driver is a combo throw. So I need to figure out. I know you do pile driver. It's like quarter circle forward and 1 or left punch, and he grabs you and he goes pile driver. And I think it's left punch, right punch, kicks. I think he does the second. I think there's 3 things you could do after it as a combo throw. So I need to look up the combo throws, right? So I got some work to do tonight, and I'm going to go online. I'm probably going to start with Paul, see what I can do there, and then I'm going to probably go to King, and we'll see how it goes tonight for Friday Night Fights. It should be exciting. My first ever Tekken 8 stream. And by the way, don't ask me why, but when I played the Tekken 8 demo on Monday, that game recorded flawlessly on my setup. Flawlessly. It looked super duper smooth. It didn't drop frames. The graphics looked amazing. I was like, wow, this records way better on here than Street Fighter 6 did. Because when I played Street Fighter 6, I basically had a lot of issues with frame drops. Like, I noticed every once in a while they would get choppy, then it would get smooth again, then it would get choppy, then it would get smooth again. I'm not having that issue with Tekken 8. All the footage I did at Tekken 8 on Monday was smooth. So I was blown away how good it looks. I hope it continues to record that well. So today should be an exciting day. First stream, as I said, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Very excited to jump into it. By the way, yes, I caved. And I got the best version. I did. I got the best version of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Now, this is supposed to have extra Sujamon, which is basically their version of Pokemon. We battle these characters in an arena. But also, it's supposed to have many extra items for the resort. Now, the resort is the Dokkan Island or whatever it's called, which is the island that you make. That's the resort island that I'm going to be doing gameplay with my wife. So hopefully we get lots of extra good stuff for that. So that when we actually play that perhaps later this week, we'll be able to actually have the best, stuff to build our resort from scratch, So we'll see. So anyway, I'm very excited for Like a Dragon right now after this podcast. I've been waiting for this game for years. Remember that Yakuza Like a Dragon or Yakuza 7 was my game of the year when it came out, over 3 years ago. So obviously I'm very excited to see what they do with this one. I want to know why they end up in Hawaii, because we don't know why the gang ends up in Hawaii. We only know why Cosmic Kiryu is there from the end of Like a Dragon Like a Dragon Gaiden. So this should be very, very exciting to play today and try out as the first stream. For those who are RPG fans, I certainly hope you're going to stick around after today's podcast. It's just funny to me because, right now we have 350 people watching the podcast, and usually for a new release, we'd have more than that. But because it's a JRPG, I don't get views. And that kills me because I love JRPGs. JRPGs are one of my favorite genres. I absolutely love playing them. This is probably going to be my favorite one for a long time. And I basically get a core audience, and I'm happy with the core audience I get. But I kind of knew that was going to happen today. I knew we weren't going to get crazy amount of viewers for Like a Dragon, nor do I think we ever will. I really don't think we ever will, because, again, exactly. 672 says, I bet if you had played Tekken, you'd have 500 plus viewers right now. I guarantee you're correct. I 100% believe you. For some odd reason, half my audience just isn't in line with my game, what I like. I don't understand that. You would think the audience would be in line with the streamer, but a lot of cases that's not the case. I mean, take a look. I love Sea of Stars, and that barely got 200 viewers a stream, right? Again, not that this matters. None of that's a big deal. To me, I play the games I like, and I'm happy to have anyone come by and engage in support with those streams, I'm grateful for what I get. I don't need to be Mr. Big. I don't need to be, the guy who's streaming every game just to get views and then drop it within a stream or two when it's not popular anymore. That's not me. Like a Dragon's going to be played in its entirety, Likely what'll happen is Like a Dragon will be played as a major stream a few times this week, and then based on performance-wise, we'll see how it goes. If people show up, engage in support, then much like Baldur's Gate 3, I'll keep it as a daytime stream. But if it ends up being slow on every one of those streams, what are you going to do? Then it's going to probably end up being like an ongoing late-night playthrough, right? Which we play at most late nights. I don't even know what else to say. I don't want that to happen because I know I'm going to love the game, but I got to adjust to what people are going to show up for, right? So let's see how it goes today, and go from there, okay? By the way, I want to turn on my fan a little higher. It feels kind of stuffy in here today. Turn on level 2. Okay. All right, so we'll see what happens today with that, and I'm excited for the late stream, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, first ever multiplayer of Tekken 8. I'll probably just quickly jump into training mode to try to learn one or two basic combos and strategies with King and Paul. Like Paul, I know exactly what to do. I just want to confirm the inputs for a few moves. With King, I need to learn the actual inputs. Like I don't know how to do the Jaguar Charge or Rush, whatever it's called, and I don't know how to do the Super Armor move. I got to learn those before I can really play with him effectively. Jade says, you asked me Tekken 8 story and character episodes do not play story in hard. P.S. I did the story last night. So you beat the entire story mode last night? How long was it, Jade? Do you remember how long it took you to beat the whole story mode? Because I'm curious if it's like 4 or 5 hours or if it's not that long at all. And how do the character stories work? Because they said it's, 5 fights with some story attached to it. So I'm just curious how that works too. Anyway, so I'm excited for today. Very big new release day. Now, here's the deal. After we finish all the streams tonight, I'm going to do a poll on this channel on the community tab. And the poll will be as follows. Tomorrow, we're flipping the streams. It's going to be Tekken 8 on the daytime stream. And it's going to be Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth on the late stream. But the question is, what do you want to see on the daytime stream tomorrow? And the options will be actual narrative story mode, okay? Or the arcade mode. What would you prefer to see tomorrow? Because the narrative story mode, again, people are saying it's like 4 to 5 hours. Is it? Prisoner says like 4 hours long. So if that's the case, it'll probably take like 2 streams to do. So do you want to see me start that? Because in that one, you play a variety of characters. There's big visual effects and big crazy story elements that happen. Or do you want to see me do the arcade mode? That's what we previewed in the demo, where you're going to be basically going through arcades with various characters, and you're going to be fighting against various opponents and learning techniques with each character, and then you go to each arcade and the story continues. You can change your avatar to look different. And also, I believe that is the mode where you earn the most currency, so you can unlock the in-game stuff, the customizables for all the characters and everything. So we can do either one, all right, whichever one you want, but I want you to vote overnight. I will have a poll on the channel page community tab here on DSP Gaming to vote for what you want to see tomorrow first, okay? So please vote on that. And then Sunday will be DSP versus the internet on DSP Reacts first stream, and in the late stream will be another late night multiplayer session of Tekken. Now, will it be more Paul and King, or will it be another character? I don't know. I guess it depends on how stuff goes on Saturday's stream. If I pick another character who I like and I'm interested in using them, maybe I'll do that. But if not, then maybe I'll go to my staples. We'll see. The story mode is 15 chapters. Ooh. And you got to assume that probably each chapter is probably like 20 minutes long, right? They're probably not lengthy chapters. So if you do the math there, right? Yeah, it's probably going to be like 4 hours long, roughly, the story mode. That makes sense. Okay. Interesting. 3 to 5 hours. Okay. People are saying 3 to 5 hours. Depends on how fast you go through it and stuff. Okay. Cool. So, yeah. So, I'm excited to see what you'll vote for tomorrow. And then Sunday will be the React show, and it will be more Tekken. And then Monday, I think we're going to do Like a Dragon as the daytime stream again. And then probably Monday night, will probably again be like Tekken. But then what we'll do is for Tuesday and Wednesday, each day will either be Tekken or Like a Dragon. And then the night streams will be Baldur's Gate and Pal World. So that way we get a little bit of variety, right? That way it's not a big deal that we're playing these new releases all week. We'll get that little bit of mix by the end of the week so people don't complain. And then what I want to do is at the end of the week, I want to assess how everything did, right? If one particular game did better in the streams, then I'll probably play more of it the next week. If one particular game didn't do as well, maybe that game will be played less or be downgraded to night streams, and we move something from night streams into day streams. Like I know for a fact, Baldur's Gate 3, right, had a certain crowd that came by every time I played the game during the daytime. Now I'm going to play it as a night stream this week. Does that mean people aren't going to show up? Does that mean it's not going to have as much engagement and support because it moved its time slot? I don't know. So I guess we got to find out, right? We won't know till we try and we see how the week goes. Now, other things to keep in mind. Like I already mentioned, Foam Stars, will we play it? I don't know. I think it's February 6th it comes out. So it's a maybe. I guess we'll have to see together if it's something that I consider playing or not. And then, of course, the big event is coming up. And that's going to be Saturday, February 10th. So about 2 weeks away, right? Just a little over 2 weeks away. A Super Bowl Bash marathon event here on DSP Gaming. I'll be dressed up in NFL attire. I'll be drinking. I'll be eating yummy foods that my wife's going to make. She's going to make various different kind of Super Bowl style party foods that I'll be having over the course of the day with all of you and kind of talking about and reviewing. But we got to figure out what I'm doing during this event. We haven't determined that yet. Today I have a lot of game news to talk about, so I don't think we're going to talk about this very much today. But I think over the course of the next week, we have to hammer in exactly what we're doing. And I think once we see games like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Tekken 8 and how they're received, then we can determine, hey, do people want to see those on that day? Or do we want to do something different that day? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So we'll find out, okay? But that's going to be a fun marathon event coming up. And there you have it. Football movie tier maker, says Korg. Oh, God. Football movies? How many have I even seen? I probably saw Little Giants. I saw Any Given Sunday. What other football movies are there? How many are there? I don't even remember that many. Remember the Titans? I saw that like once. Oh, and Rudy. I saw Rudy a couple times when I was younger. Yeah. So it's like 4 movies. That's going to be a quick tier maker. All right. Anyway, I guess we'll see what happens. But let's start brainstorming there. I would be talking with you about that today. However, we got a lot of game news to get to today. All right. So before we get to game news, all I want to say is, guys, here's the deal. this is my final streaming week of the month. I mean, it is the last 6 days of the month, right? So 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 30. Yeah, like the next 6 streaming days for me are the last days of the month. All right? If you like my content, if you like what I do on YouTube and the way I do it, please support the content this next week. My real concern right now is this month. All right? I put in just as much, if not more effort into my content as I usually do. Correct? This month I launched DSP Throwback, which is doing pretty good. It's fully monetized now. Every day there's a new Red Dead or Final Fantasy 13 video over there. We launched my first ever stream over there where I reacted to the Red Dead playthrough and you guys loved it. And by the way, I'm probably going to do another one of those next weekend. Not this week because of the new releases, but I'm thinking next weekend on that Sunday, we'll probably do React Show and then another throwback stream to keep reacting to the Red Dead playthrough. I think that would be pretty neat because you guys liked it so much last time, okay? So, if you like my stuff, I really need your help this week. Here's why, okay? So I did check my statistics. I was trying to figure out how to exactly check everything, all right? Now, here's the thing. January typically is a month where everything is slower with ads, and that's okay. I'm used to that. Like, I'm used to every single January being a slow income month for ads because there's no ads on YouTube. You know, all the good ads were for the holidays, and this is a very slow month. It picks up somewhat in February, actually gets much better in March and April. My problem this month is the trolls, and I don't like talking about that or admitting it, but they fucked with my income this month badly, all right? To give you some example, I looked at memberships, all right? So what I make typically in a month on channel memberships, and just, I could pull up the statistic right now, and this is not even an exaggeration, okay? So I go to earnings, I go to memberships, and it literally says, I am down this month over $1,000 in revenue because of the bogus gifted memberships on this channel. That in a normal month, people would have become members or renewed their memberships or gifted legit memberships, and it would have equated to over $1,000. And I don't have that now because these idiots came in with VPNs, abused the system, found the exploit, and gifted so many memberships to the channel that literally nobody is paying for a membership now. Okay? That's not good. That is awful, and that is going to seriously hurt me. Okay? And here's the truth is that would have been income I absolutely should have had. Because a lot of people either renew or auto-renew, or they wait. Like, for example, I get a feeling what would have happened is today, a lot of people would have come by the stream and said, oh, so my membership lapsed, but hey, I'm here to watch Like a Dragon, or hey, I'm here to watch Tekken 8 for the first time. Now would be the time when I will renew my membership, or maybe give some memberships to the community, and you already have one. So now you're not going to do that, right? So this is income that I rightly would have had and earned through all of the hard work that I've done this month, and now I'm not going to get it because of trolls. And that's fucking bullshit, right? So you know me. I'm not going to stand here and say, stick it to the trolls, man, and support the channel to stick it to the trolls, because I don't want anyone ever supporting my content to stick it to anything. I want you supporting me and my content because you like it, right? You like what I do on DSPGaming. You like the style I cover these games. You like the fact that I put all the effort into the throwback channel this month to give you what you wanted after so many years of asking for it. You like the fact that I do this react show every week that's interactive and fun, and it's a year anniversary of it coming up next month, right? I want you to support my content because you like what I'm putting out. Not because you want to show the trolls this or that, none of that, okay? But in truth, I absolutely need your help this week. I need this week to be a really great week for support. Because if it's not, I'm going to be down over $1,000 in memberships alone. Now, it's already a month where I'm behind on ad revenue, and that's okay. That's something that I'm used to happening every January. But never have I faced a situation where not only am I now down on that ad revenue, but now I've got another major chunk of my income missing because of these trolls, okay? Now, how can you support the channel? It's very simple. If you already have a membership because you were gifted it in illegitimate means by these idiots, think about gifting another membership to the community. You could do that. You could pay it forward. And yes, that will help someone else and give them a membership. Or just do a super chat, right? Do a super chat during the stream. Just say, hey, I would have bought the membership, but I already have it, so here's a super chat to make up for it, right? Or send a tip. Hey, FYI, I really appreciate this stuff you're doing. Sorry about this nonsense this month. Here's a tip to show my support. Or, hey, you want to get something special out of it? Go over to my Patreon at patreon.com/darksidephil and pledge something there. What if you're someone who's not on a stream? You could go pledge to my Patreon for a couple bucks a month. That helps. And that's a lot of people do that behind the scenes. It's a behind the scenes way to kind of support stuff. And that way you don't have to ever be called out on a stream or anything like that if that's not what you're seeking. Or, hey, do a pledge over there and you buy a private video and I'll make you a private video in February, right? That's the highest level perk over there. So this is just one of the many ways, okay? The many, many ways that you can support this channel, okay? And what's funny is people will say, well, he's asking for something. No, I'm not. I'm not asking for anything. That's revenue I would have had. These are memberships I already had. You understand? This is stuff that should have been, it says right here, compared to last month's performance, you're down over $1,000 in memberships. Why? Because someone gave them away. You literally just handed out the product without anyone paying for it. And that's not right. And YouTube shouldn't have these loopholes, but they do. Right? And now I'm being hurt pretty badly. All right? And I'm hoping that I can recover from this, because if I have multiple months that are like this, this could ruin the business. I'm being honest here. Like, it really could screw everything up for me and the business, and that's not fair. What did I do wrong? I've been putting out the same great content for you every month, and you guys like the content. That's what you're here for. So why am I getting punished because YouTube has a loophole and trolls are basically taking advantage of it? It's fucked up, right? And again, people already would have had these memberships. This is not, I'm asking for you to contribute over and above. This is income that would have come in if it weren't for all these fake gifted memberships. So please consider contributing in some other way if you got one of those gifted memberships. Again, whether it's a super chat or a tip or whatever it may be. I don't want to see this huge negative effect on my business for no reason. You know, here's the thing. It used to be, oh, Phil's lazy and Phil's doing this. Tell me how I'm lazy this year. Improved thumbnails based on your feedback. Improved titles to all of my videos based on your feedback. Playing the games you want, like Baldur's Gate 3, based on your feedback. Increasing the amount of content that I'm putting out by making an entirely new channel, again, based on your requests and feedback over these years, right? I'm doing exactly what everyone is telling me to do to improve, yet some people seem to think that that warrants them to just try to destroy everything just because they can, right? And this is the point I've been making to you guys all these years. The reason that we troll Phil is because he's a bad content creator is a smokescreen. It never was legit to begin with. Yeah, maybe when This Is How You Don't Play came out over a decade ago, those original videos were based on, let's make fun of Phil because his gameplay sucks. I am not the same person from over 10 years ago. These people who on a daily basis are sitting here trolling me, doing this stuff, no longer care about making a point about I need to improve, because I am improving. Sorry, it's indisputable. I'm improving my content. The problem is they don't care. All they want to do is troll because it makes them feel better about themselves, because they actually have no real power in real life for anything. They're losers. They sit on the internet fucking with people all day long. Keep in mind, same people sitting on a place like Kiwi Farms doxing people nonstop for no fucking reason, right? The same people trying to get into my private life, trying to pry into my behind the scenes life and financials and shit. That's none of their fucking business, nor anyone's business, right? It's ridiculous. And now, we found another thing to do. Well, I'm not going to let it beat me. I refuse. No matter what they do, I'm going to keep going. Like I said, I will quit making content on the internet the day when I decide I'm quit and I'm done. I decide that. Nobody else. You understand? So I'm going to keep going. And I don't care what these idiots are doing. I don't give two shits. But I need your help. And I don't like having to come out outright to ask for it. I haven't had to do this in years, right? I haven't. If you take a look at the last few years, things have been going pretty good. Last year was a really good year. I would argue that the content got better and the support was great. But now we're starting off this year on a low note because of this nonsense with the memberships, all right? So again, if you like the content, please support it in another way than one of these memberships, because I just lost a bunch of revenue on this nonsense, and I need to make it up in the next week. Like, no exaggeration, I need to have a really good week this week. And if I do, then I'll feel a lot more safe heading into February. It won't be as big of a deal. But I am nervous now that I'm down, a big down month, and then it's going to be another down month. And is this going to be a thing ongoing now because of this membership situation, right? So there you go, right? So here we go again. Someone dropping a 50-member bomb. Do you really think that this is legit? It's probably another troll, you know? And again, you notice every day now we're getting a 50-member bomb on the channel. Am I supposed to celebrate this? You know it's fake, right? You absolutely know it's fake. I don't know who this person is. Have you ever heard of them before? Of course not. So, it is what it is. Just ignore the nonsense. And please support the channel in a way if you can. Again, if you can, please do a super chat. Please do a tip. It's not mandatory. It would be greatly appreciated right now with the way things are going with these trolls. Again, and the funny part about this is, they say, oh, you see, Phil's e-begging again. Did I do that until you fucked with my income? No. You create the situation, then you complain about it. Like I chose to do it. I didn't want to change DSP Reacts. I liked how the channel ran for a year. You're the reason I had to change the show. I didn't want to have to talk about this week. You're the reason why. You create the behavior you claim to not like. So you're insane. Literally, you're insane. You're a fucked up individual. Whoever's doing this shit. Okay? Okay. Ladies and gents, let's move on. We're going to have shout-outs in a bit. But let's move on for now positively. And let's talk about a little segment that I like to say is my favorite segment. By the way, I totally forgot to do this. I didn't do the Phil's Day Off logo. Sorry about that. I completely forgot. It slipped my mind. But we already did the Phil's Day Off segment for this week. But it's time for DSPN, also known as DSP News. It's time for us to talk about what's going on in the realm of gaming. Okay? So, first of all, a few stories from a few days ago that I didn't get to. It's been announced publicly by Nintendo that online services for the Nintendo 3DS as well as the Wii U console will be sunsetted on April 8th, 2024. Okay? So what that means, okay, what that means is essentially that if you have any games on the 3DS that you want to play online, you better play them now. If you have a Wii U game that has an online component, you better do it right now. Like, you have to. Because if you don't play it by April, there's no more online play for anything on those. Now, people have reached out to Nintendo to ask questions about this. For example, will it still be possible to download update data or any software that you've already purchased? Well, it says, for the foreseeable future, it will still be possible to download update data and re-download purchased software. But it says only for the foreseeable future, meaning they're not promising it forever. At any moment, they may turn that off. Okay? By the way, one of the biggest features of things, for example, the 3DS was the ability to go to like a convention or to go to a gaming event and to have your 3DS open, and it had that social aspect. Remember those little avatar things that would be in there, the Miiverse or whatever it was called? So all of these characters would like meet and interact, and you'd earn items and things online for running into other people wirelessly. And essentially what they're saying is the online servers aren't going to work anymore. Is it called Street Pass? There you go. So I guess what people are saying is the Street Pass essentially will be dead. Like, it won't work at all anymore. With no online component, you can't ever log in with the Nintendo server to confirm your progress with Street Pass. So that's going to be dead. The thing that kills me about it is that a lot of games, like for example Mario Kart, right? Like, why would you want to buy Mario Kart for the Wii U or for the 3DS when you can't ever play it online, and that's the major component of the game, right? So it's basically the game's dead now. So I guess some people are freaking out about it, some aren't. The truth is, if you haven't noticed, most major Wii U games, especially the big first-party ones, have been remade, right? And they've all been re-released, upgraded for the Switch. And I think that was a strategy they definitely did on purpose. They knew they wanted to sunset the Wii U as soon as possible, and they knew that most people weren't going to buy a Wii U to play those games, so they just decided that they were going to port them all to the Switch, because everyone bought the Switch, so they could resell those games with the same assets, essentially, but then they could get rid of the Wii U stuff, right? So, anyway, interesting. Give it a look. If you want any of that stuff, you might want to play it right now, because there will be no more online play in any of those games in just a few short months, okay? Pal World continues to be the best-selling game. I believe it did it hit 8 million? I think it hit 8 million now, sales, in a week, I think it was. See, I don't know, because this story was back from a couple days ago when I had first captured it. And, of course, a couple days have passed. But, yeah, Pal World continues to be, like, the best-selling game right now. In addition, it is the highest concurrent player game on Steam, and it's still going crazy. Nintendo, particularly, Game Freak, the company that's part of the Pokemon company, the company that makes Pokemon games, was contacted by by the press. And the press said, yo, what are you doing about this? Because it's obvious that Pal World is an intellectual property ripoff of Pokemon. Are you going to take any action? Or are you going to do anything about it? And essentially the person who's the rep, the PR rep for the Pokemon company said, we go through this kind of thing all the time. We're currently looking into it. And we will look into it. And that's all they said. So, does that mean anything? I mean, they would have to prove that basically it's a real ripoff, as opposed to, oh, we kind of, tweaked it a little bit to change it. Personally, I do think that the Pals are Pokemon ripoffs. Every one of them reminds me of a Pokemon. Every single one looks like another Pokemon. It just redesigned slightly. So I do feel like it's a humongous ripoff. The art style 100% is Pokemon, right? But the question is, legally, is there anything Nintendo can do? Right? I don't know. I don't know what the legal ramifications are. Also, you got to keep in mind, this is all international stuff now, right? You got Japan versus the laws in another country. What's the international law that applies to intellectual property in this case? I don't know. I'm not a legal dude, so I guess it's something that we're going to have to see. I mean, it's crazy how popular the game is, and they've now made hundreds of millions of dollars. They've already announced that they're going to improve the game dramatically, because they made so much money on it now that they're going to do all kinds of new content and things that people want. Like, the people want endgame raids. They want other stuff like that. And they said, yes, we're going to do all of that eventually. So, that'll be interesting. But I guess we'll see. I mean, is it a shocker that the game is as successful as it is? Yes. At the same time, people have been asking for how many years, we just want a better Pokemon game. We're tired of Pokemon games looking like 2 last-gen behind games running like trash on the Switch. All we're asking for is a Pokemon game that looks modern. And the actual company making the Pokemon games refuses to give it. So if they're not going to give the product and someone else will, what did you think would happen? Honestly, did you think that people were just going to say, oh, on the good merit of our morals, we're not going to play Pal World because obviously it's ripping off Pokemon? No. People have asked you for it. You won't give them what they want. They're going to get it somewhere else, right? This is like saying, I have a restaurant, and even though people like the food at the restaurant, they've been asking for me to have this particular dish for 3 years. They say, we know you would do it amazing. Just please give us this one dish. And the owner says, I refuse. All I'm going to do is stick to my main menu and never do anything innovative or different. This is good enough. So then a competitor opens up across the street, and their featured dish is the dish that everyone has asked for at the restaurant, and they won't do it. And all the customers go across the street to eat the dish across the street. Whose fault is that? Right? If you do not listen to your customer base, you will lose them. I know that. It took me a long time to learn that, but I know that now. I have to listen to all of you and take in all of your feedback on what it is that you want from me. And I need to find a way to give you what you want. That's the law of business, right? Just because someone makes something doesn't mean that someone's entitled to partake in it or pay for it or buy it, right? You need to make something that people want. If literally your customer base, we want this, we'll pay for it. Well, we refuse to give it to you. All right, fuck you. Someone else made it. I'm going to go play that instead. Oops. Maybe you should have listened. All these years that you ignored your customer base, maybe you should have listened. It's your fault. Right? Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see if lawsuits start flying. All right, ladies and gentlemen, obviously the biggest news story right now, it just hit the news yesterday. It's atrociously awful news. All right. Microsoft, which just bought Activision Blizzard King, right? The merger is currently in the processing stages of being, it is finalized, but they're basically adjusting everything internally. Microsoft has laid off 1,900 employees, mostly from Activision Blizzard. Tons of people in the industry just lost their jobs. They actually had one of the executives at Activision Blizzard, Mike Ibarra, he's gone. He got the axe. And tons of people under him and or teams who worked on those games are gone. There was a big game they've been working on for something like 6 years called Odyssey. They completely canceled the game and laid off the whole dev team. It was a survival game. I'm reading it right here. Let's see. Alan Adam, who was the chief design officer and the company's actual founder of Blizzard, has left as well. He's gone. And it was such a mess that the news of the layoffs hit the press before the employees knew. So the employees found out that they were probably going to get laid off by reading social media. It wasn't like they were told internally this is coming. It was this shocking thing that just happened out of nowhere. And so over the last 24 hours, people sitting at their desks at work nervously biting their fingernails, and then they get the email, you're basically out of here. Clean out your desk, HR comes by. Oh, I know, I've been through that. HR comes by. Sorry, we got to go to HR. You're being laid off. Pretty messed up. One of the most telling things, and boy, guys, when I'm right, and I don't like being right all the time, but I'm right on certain things, and sometimes people ignore me. All right, listen to this. Microsoft shut down the entire department that was dedicated to bringing Xbox games to physical retail. They laid them all off. There is literally not a single employee at Microsoft that will now make games physical copies anymore. What did I tell you guys? Just recently, right? We were talking about Alan Wake had no physical release, right? I mean, this is what's going to happen moving forward. These game companies no longer want to make physical copies of games. They just want to do everything digital. They feel like the majority of sales are digital, and no one is going to benefit from having a physical copy. Either you play the game digitally or you don't play video games. It's time to get used to it. First of all, one thing should be called out. Mobile games are the biggest video games in the world. They're the most profitable, and they have no physical copies. Okay? So that's just something that, it's an inevitability. When the biggest thing in the world for your genre or your style of entertainment is already digital only, then everything else is going to go that way. And that's really the thing, like, when you think about it. The entire industry, right, is going for cost cutting. They're trying to make maximum profits with minimum effort. I hate to say it, but that's what the direction the whole industry is going, right? This is one of the first things you're going to see. You're not going to be able to go to a store and buy a video game anymore. You just got to go to the digital marketplace, whether it's the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Live Store, the Nintendo Store, Steam, Epic Game Store, whatever it is, and you have to buy all your games off of there. There's nowhere else you'll be able to get video games. You're going to have to, and it's inevitable. Oh, but what about the fact that you don't own the game if you do the digital version? You don't own the game now. Just because you physically have a game in your hand, you don't own the game. You own a license to play that game. If you owned the game, you'd have the legal right to copy and resell it. You don't. You can't do that. So, you never owned the right to the game to begin with. That was just some weird, misconceived notion we all had in our heads for many years that we owned video games. We don't own any video games. We don't. Sorry. And now that everything is digital, We're going to have to get used to it if we're gamers. All right? Listen, I don't like it. I really don't like it. But that's just the way it's going, man. And there's nothing you can do about it. This is the industry. Microsoft don't give two shits. Right? They just don't care. And what's really fucked up about all of this is that now that this Activision Blizzard merger went through, they were literally just saying, hold on. They were literally just saying, isn't it messed up that Bobby Kotick, the former CEO of Activision Blizzard, who just left the company, got the axe in this merger, received a $400 million payout to leave. Do you think maybe some of the $400 million he received could have went to some employees so they didn't lose their jobs? Right? Because ultimately when you cut employees, it's because you're saying we're reforming, we're cost cutting, whatever. So why the fuck did he get a payout? It's just the whole industry and corporations in general are fucked. Like, the people who don't deserve it get it, and the people who need it the most, you know, who do you think really worked hardest at that company? Was it Bobby Kotick or all the people under him who made the games? It was the people who made the games. So he gets the reward, they lose their jobs. Wow, that makes a lot of sense, right? You would think that if you're in the middle of a giant industry-shaking merger, that things are going to go good for you. Why are you laying off almost 2,000 people? You know? It's fucked up. I don't know, man. But I always, in these cases, I gotta side with the game devs. You know? As much as I play video games, and I rage at them, and I say, oh, this part sucks, what happened? You gotta understand that 99% of the time, the issue is not a game dev. The game dev wants to put out a good game for you. Do you really think there's a person who works at a game company, and they come in, and they sit down at their desk, and they go, time to make the shittiest game I can. Let's fuck it all up. Let's make sure there's huge game bugs. Your save's corrupt. That, you know, the camera's fucked. Let's do this. Right? No. They go in like everyone else. They go in with a feeling of positivity and fun. They want to make a great piece of art for you. They want to make a game you're truly going to enjoy. It's not their fault that the games come out sometimes the way that they do. Usually it's the management. You know, the Bobby Kodicks. That's usually the reason why the games come out like shit. Because these people impose ridiculous demands and you know, money-making criteria on these fucking games. Instead of just being able to make a good game, you gotta fucking get screwed over. And you gotta rush out a piece of junk so that it hits the right sales time and it could hit the bottom line of the company for the right quarter's financials, right? A lot of these companies have just lost their way when it comes to that. They don't understand if you just make a good game, you'll make the money. It's not about design the game for the money. It's design a great game, and then that game makes you the money. It's cause and effect. It's not make a game that prints money. You can't do that, you know? But these idiots in corporate positions don't get that. Hilarious that Bobby Kotick started off as like a beloved guy, and over the years everyone just hated him more and more. And then when he left the company, everyone just said, we have nothing good to say about this guy. So anyway, it sucks. I feel for all these employees, they don't deserve to lose their jobs because a merger went through, you know? This is what happened with me at the helicopter company. When I started working at HSI, everything was fine. And then basically what ended up happening was they kept downscaling our company. It was bought out by Sikorsky Aircraft, and then it just kept getting downsized, outsourced, outsourced. No one even works at that company anymore. Seriously, the entire company was outsourced. So, it's bullshit. It's a horrible corporate practice. Again, you would think if Microsoft's buying Activision Blizzard, this should mean good things for the company, not that so many employees are now losing their means of livelihood. Actually, you want to know what's even worse? Earlier in the week, Riot Games had a giant layoff of tons of employees. And I actually saw someone post up on social media. He says, so earlier in the week, we got word that Riot Games was laying off and I lost my job. And then my wife works for Activision Blizzard and she's like, oh, God, I hope that doesn't happen. And she lost her job. So now the entire family's unemployed. Great. It's pretty fucked up, right? It's pretty fucked up. You know, what is going on in this industry? You got to wonder, with so many people losing their jobs in the game dev industry, what's really going on? Was there a feeling of overexuberance where these companies were overspending and overreaching their bounds with unrealistic sales expectations for certain games that they were making? Did they really think, like, for example, Activision Blizzard, maybe they literally just thought every single game they ever made was going to be a hit, right? Maybe they thought every game we're going to release is going to be out of the ballpark smash hit. But then they did it, what was it, that Diablo re-release, and everyone hated that, right? It was Diablo 2, everyone hated that, and Overwatch 2, everyone hated that, right? And, you know, there's been struggles retaining members, subscriptions for things like World of Warcraft and stuff over time. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just all so massively expected that everything they ever did was going to be successful, and then they started actually having things that weren't so successful, and that's when you kind of flounder. And maybe that's what made the Activision Blizzard buyout possible to begin with, right? I don't know. You know, this is all speculation. We're the people who play the games, right? We don't actually know what's going on behind the closed doors of these companies, but you got to wonder what's really happening at these companies that all these things are happening. Riot Games, I mean, let's be honest. Riot Games, that's League of Legends. That company is overbloated. I mean, I can't imagine why it ever was as successful as it was besides esports. Like, the esports thing blew it up so big with League of Legends. And now, oh, we're going to do this spin-off, this mobile game over here, this over here. We're making a fighting game now. We're doing this. It's like, who's the audience for all of that? The same people who play League of Legends? I don't know. I get the feeling like Riot Games just massively overestimated. They were trying to ride this giant wave of popularity for one game and just overexpanded monstrously, right? And then it said, oh shit, actually no one's going to buy any of this shit that we're trying to put out. League of Legends still remains popular, but all the other shit on the periphery was never going to be that popular. And so a lot of people end up getting, you know, laid off in the process, right? Oh, they made Valorant? I didn't even know they made Valorant. Okay, so Valorant, so they do have another game now that actually was very popular, Valorant. That's another one that I would never play. Very PC-centric, right? It's weird. A company like that that's so PC-centric, but got so popular based off of one game and blew up like that. Anyway, that's what's going on right now in the realm of gaming. You got tons of people losing their jobs left and right. Microsoft essentially is saying with their statement, laying off that whole team, we're just not going to make physical games anymore. Deal with it. Everything's digital. And everyone's kind of like, oh, crap, what's going to happen? Right? Yeah. Sheesh. Anyway, all right. That's the news. Now, guys, before we get to shout-outs, I got to blow my nose because I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Oh. Oh. That's better. Hooey. Okay. All right. So let's get the shout outs, guys. Again, another quick reminder. Please, this week, if you like my content, support it. I really need to have a great week to try to recover from the over $1,000 of lost revenue from this whole gifted memberships debacle. So please, anything, like literally anything helps. Whether it be a legit membership, a gifted membership, a super chat, a tip. I'm not asking for any particular thing. I'm just saying please support if you can this week. That rallying would really help me, especially during this new release week. Okay? Okay. So, shout out to King Be Cruel, who did a super chat this morning. He says, what it do, Mr. Big? Please do English voice acting for Infinite Well. Oh, we did, right? We did the English voice actors for Yakuza Like a Dragon. And I want to hear those same voice actors again, so I think it only makes sense to do the English voice acting. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't want to hear everyone bitching about the English voice actor for Cosmic Kiryu. It'll be the first time I'm ever hearing it, and I will be honest about my reactions about it. If it's terrible, I will tell you. If it's not so bad, I'll also tell you. But I don't want hearing this dumb meme, oh, the English voice actor sucks. Let's just make fun of it every moment. No. It's going to get tired in like 2 seconds, all right? So let's see how it goes, all right? 672 gifted a legit membership to Raston Floor Warden. Or Roston Floor Warden. Congratulations, and thank you for that. And I got... David did a super chat, and he says, I appreciate your effort and your consistency. I like your content. I'm a new reviewer. Keep going. I like your channel and the structures. Thank you, David. I know there's a little something for everyone. You want old school gameplay from back in the day, and of course, a very different style of commentary. Go check out DSP Throwback. You want to see a fun clip show where I react to stuff from all over the internet, a big variety show? Check out DSP versus the Internet. You like daily live streams of newer releases and ongoing playthroughs? Check out DSPGaming. You want to see a fun podcast? Check out the Level 1 podcast, right? You got all this stuff going on all at once. So again, thank you, David. I'm glad that you enjoy the stuff that I do. Okay. So, looks like we've got the first tip of the day is a $5 tip from Super Snow Carl Turbo HD Remix. What a name. And they said the following. I don't know if you'll touch upon this or not. In Tekken 8 news, fans on Twitter are now begging the game director, Harada, that's his last name, right? Harada, to add Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII as a guest character in Tekken 8. What are your thoughts? I have no idea. Tekken always has guest characters now, but every time there's a guest character, people hate it. Like, for example, do you remember Tekken, was it 6? I forget which one it was. Or was it 7? That had Negan, right? And had, it had like 2 or 3 oddball people who don't belong in Tekken, but they really wanted guest characters, and they got them, right? And then, of course, the character that everyone says ruined the game was Akuma. That the moment Akuma was added to Tekken, that he's just broken. He doesn't fit with the Tekken formula. He never should have been in it. And it ruined Tekken 7. And, you know, entire tournaments are like Akumas, right? So, I'm happy Akuma's not in Tekken 8, thank God. But does that mean immediately you should start adding in guest characters again? Maybe you should just stick to the core audience. Like, for me, I hate that they're missing characters that I used to play with back in the day. Like, where's Lei Wulong? He was one of my favorite characters. He's not in it. So I'd like to see them add back the missing characters before we start worrying about adding in guest characters, right? I hate to say it, I just think that there's people who out there are just for, like, the stupid memeability and hype of a guest character, right? Like, Mortal Kombat 1, no one gives 2 fucks about the game, but then everyone's like, oh my god, Omni-Man's in it. Oh my god, Homelander's in it. No one cares. The game sucks. I don't fucking care who you put in that game. The game still is terrible, so I don't give 2 fucks who's in it, but yet people meme about it for, like, a week when a new character gets added. You know? So I don't really care about the guest characters. I never really did. I wish that they would stick to their guns about the base cast, or add a brand new character as opposed to a guest character, right? Okay, shout out to Big Ocho. Just gifted a membership and it went to Iron Chef Sakai. Congrats, Iron Chef Sakai, on the gifted membership. Thank you to Big Ocho. Okay, I received a very generous $50 tip from Skiz Nillet. Thank you so much, Skiz Nillet. $50 tip there this morning. Hold on a second when I find it. There we go. Skiz Nillet. What a name. Skiz Nillet. Which means it's Gunnar Glass's time to start, which is excellent. Thank you so much, Skiz Nillet. And they said, you know I received some gifted memberships on all of your channels here. Sorry about the trolls. Please keep up your great content. Thank you, Skiznillet. See, that's what I'm talking about. I appreciate that because Skiznillet is probably someone who would have come by and done the legit memberships. And I can't because they got the gifted ones, right? So, thank you very much, Skiznillet. I appreciate that very, very much. That's exactly what I'm saying. And hopefully more people this week will follow suit to help make up for this. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Okay. I just want to reload here. Okay. I received... Oh. Wow, this is loading like molasses. I received a $25 tip from 1 Minute Man, thank you very much, 1 Minute Man. Every single day for your ongoing support of all of my streams and content. I really, really appreciate that, 1 Minute Man. Thank you so very much. So 25, that means we're up to 80. Thank you, 1 Minute Man. Okay. All right. I received a $1 tip from Carl Snow. I feel like the Pokemon Company posted that statement just to tell people to shut up about Pal World. They heard it. I don't think any action will be taken. I don't know if any can. I mean, it's one thing to knock it off, which they definitely did knock it off. I mean, I think we know that. It's a knockoff game, but did they violate the law? Did they go too far? The game doesn't technically play like Pokemon because it's not turn-based, right? I guess if they did trademark the physical appearance of the Pokemon, which I know they did, I guess that would be what they would take them to court for. I don't know. This would be a really tough one. I don't think we've seen anything like this before in a game. So I don't know how technically it would go, especially because the game's out for sale and making tons of profit right now, right? So I don't actually know what would happen. Could there actually be an injunction that says no one can further buy the game or something like that? I wonder, right? I don't know. We're going to take just a few quick minutes for some Q&A, guys. I knew today's podcast would be long because we had the Phil's Day Off segment and a bunch of game news. So if anyone has a question, please tag me in the chat. Tito Man is saying, I'm enjoying Tekken 8. I love the gameplay. Did your wife get it? Yeah, there's a whole segment about that on the show. Just rewind. You'll see I had a whole segment about my day off and how Kat enjoys the game, and we loved it. Lady Christmas says the game has been known about for 3 years. If they were going to do something about it, they would have by now. Yeah, but you know what the funny part is that I get the feeling that a lot of companies don't take action until something's a real threat. Like, for example, what if the game didn't sell? Then why did they care? Why sue them, right? Versus, oh, now the game's a ginormous hit. It's actually more popular than Pokemon itself, so now maybe they want to sue them. I don't know. Jade says, character episodes are not long, 5 fights each, and I think you'll love the story. Thank you, Jade. Duke says, I don't get why anyone would want a PC. Why pay $3,000 when you can get a console for 1/6 the price? PC Master Race, take the L. Here, listen. I feel like, number one, PCs are amazing because you can do so much with them. They're very versatile, right? A PC isn't just a game machine. It could do a million other things, which is really awesome. Emulation is huge on PC, and so many people play so many games on PC just because of that, right? Mods. Gaming mods are humongous on PC and very popular. You know, you play any of these open world RPGs, they just play better on PC with a bunch of mods installed. So I get that, too. And if you have the optimal hardware setup and you manage to get the game running perfectly, games will also be running better on PC and looking better. But I feel, in your case, what you're bringing up, it's a good point. It's a valid point. PCs have too many factors involved. How many people these days complain that the PC port of a game sucks at launch? They're even saying Tekken 8 sucks on PC right now. Literally, people are coming out and saying, yeah, it's terrible. It runs like shit on PC right now. They're waiting for it to be fixed or optimized. It's like, it just seems to be a common thing. Games in general don't run well on PC at launch unless they were PC-centric games designed specifically for PC at launch, and then they got ported to console, like what happened with Baldur's Gate 3. Apparently, Baldur's Gate 3 is great on PC. It's only console that might have some problems, so I totally could see that. Let's see. Big Mac gifted a membership, and it went to Jaden. Congrats, Jaden. Thank you so much, Big Mac, for supporting the channel. No Sleep Real Vibes popping their membership, re-upping membership message. Sorry. They said, I got Tekken 8 Deluxe. My main is Law. I wonder how Law plays in this one. If he's very similar to his previous iterations, or if he's different. Like I said, King looks like they really redesigned him in this one to be a different style of character, which is kind of interesting. I guess we'll see. Let's see here. Will I ever play Stray again? I don't know. I have no plans to play it anytime soon, but maybe I would replay it at some point. King is looking like top tier so far. From what I've seen, here's the thing, and here's what you can't figure it out yet. His new techniques are very overpowered. Like, for example, this Jaguar Rush into an unescapable throw seems really strong, as well as his new super armor, right? His new super armor looks great. But here's the catch about that. Maybe we'll find a way to counter them. And if you find a way to counter them, if those are his only new techniques, well, then he's kind of back down to being lower tier again, right? So the question is, will they actually, in the meta, once the meta of this game is developed and people figure out what's great and what's not, will it be amazing? I don't know. We have to see. I do like the fact that they added new things. I have to figure out how to do them, but I like the fact that they added those new things. It makes it look pretty interesting, for sure. I received a $10 tip from Lucifer Soul. Complain about the combat in Baldur's Gate 3. It's too complicated, unlike other RPGs. People hating chess over checkers because it's too complicated. Chess is better and even more competitive if that were the case. For me, my problem is, all right, when I play a video game, okay, that's not competitive. I don't want to have to be constantly learning. That's just my take. It's different if you're playing a competitive game and you're playing it online against someone else or in a competition. And you're like, okay, I got to be on my toes because I might see something I've never seen before. I might see a strategy or a technique. I might have to react to something that's happening, right? That's the point of competition. Not everyone plays video games to be competitive. So we don't want to have to go into every game we play with a competitive mindset. In Baldur's Gate 3, every fight has something that's weird about it. That's a new factor that you don't necessarily even understand. Or maybe it's never been a factor before, now it finally is. And you just need to know it, or you fucking fail, right? And it's like, it gets to the point where it gets tiring. I just want to play this game and understand the rule set and understand the criteria of how to play it and just enjoy it. And I don't feel like I can really do that with the combat of Baldur's Gate 3. They always want to keep you on your toes. Well, again, if it were a competitive game, maybe I'd like that. Not necessarily for that style of game. Hell, even the FromSoft games, once you figure out the formula of how they work, for the most part, you can feel at home. Now, there are some cases where it's like the puzzle boss, right? You can't really fight that one legit. You got to figure out the secret way to beat it or whatever. Understandable. They do throw those curveballs at you from time to time. But in general, you understand FromSoft, and there you go, right? So, listen, if you like Baldur's Gate 3 because of that, good for you. You probably are the kind of person that likes ultra difficult games or likes games that are very competitive. I don't think Baldur's Gate 3 should be a competitive game, right? That's one of my major gripes with it. The game makes you constantly put so much effort into learning every little nuance, but where does it really get you? Right? Wow. I got through my 400-hour playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, and, right? It's not a competitive game. Right? I don't know. Some people disagree, and that's fine. You can disagree. Well, Play Cool, here's the funny thing. Play Cool says when you get OP in the game, you don't need to understand everything. You just overpower enemies. Yeah, but take a perfect look, Play Cool, at my run. I'm doing well in this dungeon, this prison, right? Things are going good. Even though I was surprised by the fight, things are going good. Let's do the fight. I do it. I win. Now the AI runs and gets itself engaged in more combat. I didn't do that. That's the game fucking up, right? But it punishes me. I get punished for it because they made this game such a weird way. I don't know. Again, we could sit here and argue Baldur's Gate 3 all day. I don't know why we would. I'm still playing it. I still like the game. It's not like I'm saying, oh, I'm so angry at this game, I'm never playing it again. I do genuinely enjoy it. It's just frustrating from time to time when things like that happen, right? Josh, I don't know. He said, what's your most anticipated game of the year other than the ones coming out today? I don't know. You know, the next big one is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I've already told everyone I'm very excited for that because now I'm going into it with the right mindset, knowing that it's not just the plain vanilla story of Final Fantasy VII being retold, but instead, you know, you got all these new elements and things that could change because this is a retelling of the story, this almost multiverse aspect. I like that now that I know it. Outside of that, I don't even know. I don't even know dates for other stuff, so I'm not really going too crazy right now, right? Preem Sardine says, what happened at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake? Sephiroth opened up a multiverse. He basically used some newfound powers that we don't understand to cut the fabric of space and time. And that's what people don't know. Like, those beings who are in the robes, the black robes, they're not really in the original Final Fantasy VII. So people are assuming that those are elements of the new multiverse aspect of the game. And since the multiverse opened up, what they're basically saying now is that Zack, who dies in the original Final Fantasy VII before the events of the game, is now still alive, right? And who's the other character that's still alive too? The girl who was working for the rebels, who was actually became a major part of Final Fantasy VII Remake, that she's alive again, even though she died in the original or whatever. So now these are factors that are going to... And people are even saying that they're being told that Zack will be a major part of Final Fantasy VII moving forward, because he was dead in the original game, but now he's going to actually be a character in it. That's kind of wild, right? So I like that. That is basically telling a whole new story now. And by the way, Zack was actually the real badass, not Cloud. Like, Cloud is just the wannabe who tried to assume his identity, you know, but Zack was the real soldier. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I never played Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. No, I did not. Nope. I know some people liked it. I never got around to it. Oh, yeah? Yeah, Jade, no spoilers. I don't know anything about the new character, Reina. I guess we'll find out when I play the story. Apparently she's interesting. I don't know who she is. I don't know anything about a Vince McMahon case. I have not followed pro wrestling in years, and I have no idea what you're talking about, and I'd prefer not to. Did I play Zodiac Age? Nope. Doesn't even ring a bell. How's it going, Usagi Jojo? I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. My favorite sitcom of all time? It's a tough question. Probably the one I've seen the most of was Seinfeld. I think I saw every episode. But I used to like watching like Home Improvement, Family Matters, stuff like that. I even watched Friends a bit with my parents at one point. All right. Is it time? I think it's time to end the show. It is time for us to get ready to start with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I'm excited to see what they've done with this game. Keep in mind, this is a game that I'm going to be doing some co-op with my wife later this year. So, well, maybe even later this week, depending. Because we don't know how this... I think it's called the Dokkan Island or something like that. We don't know how it's implemented in the game. Once we figure that out, then we can solidify, oh, okay, I'd like to play it with my wife on this date or whatever. We don't know until when it unlocks and how you play it. I'm sure we're probably not even going to get to that today, right? Lucifer Soul did a super chat. Did you know that PS1 Classic Legend of Dragoon, it's better than Final Fantasy VII? I am aware of it. I've heard of it. I never played it. I've heard the word Legend of Dragoon a million times. You know, I've seen the logo. I just never played the game. So, okay. Everyone, thank you for a great start of the week. Thanks for a great starter podcast here. I hope that you're enjoying the end of the month. This is the crazy final week of the month, right? 2 new releases. Fun stuff all around. I appreciate all of you hanging out. Thank you for engaging with me. Hopefully you'll check out the content. Really? Hopefully you'll check out number 1, Like a Dragon. Number 2, Tekken 8. Because Tekken 8 has a lot of content in it, right? Hopefully you'll check out the Throwback channel if you haven't yet, because it's in full swing over there. And hopefully if you're a member of DSP React, you'll upgrade to the new membership tier, because we really need more clips to make that show happen for Sunday. All right? Thank you guys so very much. See you tomorrow, where I'm sure I'll be giving you my day 1 impressions on both new games. Can't wait for that. Peace out, my friends. Be safe. See you then. Bye-bye.